Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cao Zheng. I'm a professor of China Studies at the University of Montana. 27 years ago, I came from Shanghai International Studies University, from which the panel came from this time. I came here as a visiting professor, and I stayed. I continued my visit until today, and I'm still visiting. Shanghai International Studies University is one of the 3 national key universities in the area of international studies. It was founded in the year of 1949, same as the People's Republic of China. And since then, it developed into a full-scale university. It has 22 or 23 colleges and schools, and it has lots of research institutes. And we have trained lots of very well-known and specialists and scholars around the country, and they are also working around the world too. And among our alumni, we have our First Lady. Our First Lady will actually graduate from SISU. And we have trained over 30-some ambassadors to different countries around the world, including 2 ambassadors to the United States of America. And the interesting point is that the current Chinese ambassador to China is from SISU, and his name is Cui Tiankai. And the current American ambassador to China is from Missoula. That's Max Baucus. And then we also have trained a lot of people who work in the international arenas of different fields, including in the news media, or lots of anchors of CCTV international programs, and also provincial TV programs, and also social academy of social studies around the world. We have lots of alumni who are working in those areas, and they have been playing a very important role in different fields in China. And the relationship between the Shanghai Institute of Middle East Studies and also our Middle East and the Southwest Center was started 5 years ago when Dr. Mehrdad Kia went there for a visit. And that's a 3-people visit to China. That was in the year of 1911. And not 13, but 3. 3-member delegation to China. And we established a relationship between the 2 institutes. And since then, we have lots of exchange programs going on, including attending different conferences and involved in each other's research projects. And 2 years ago, Dr. Mehrdad Kia was invited to serve on the editorial board of one of the magazines that is managed by the Institute. Well, they have 2 very well-known, nationally well-known magazines with the Institute. Yeah, one is in Chinese and the other is in English. And actually, this conference is jointly hosted by UM and also SISU. And this coming September, there will be a big international conference over there in Shanghai. So Dr. Kia Mehrdad is going to lead a delegation to go over there and attend their conference this coming September. And SISU has been providing lots of scholarships to students from different countries around the world. I think I mentioned that last year, where they also offer scholarships to any UM students who are interested in studying any of the majors in SISU. and they will provide free scholarships, free tuition scholarships, and then they will also provide a living stipend. So if any of you or the people that you know who might be interested in doing that study abroad program, and let them know, and let that person contact us. It will be a great opportunity. Today we have 4 very distinguished scholars from CSU. And one of them is Professor Degang Sun. And 4 years ago, we talked about the rising star. And I think he's still rising. And he's very high now. And since then, well, he was promoted as a full professor. And then he also serves as the associate dean of the Research Institute of Middle East Studies. Mr. Sun, Dr. Sun, has his doctorate degree done at CSU, and then he did a postdoc at the University of Fudan. And Fudan is one of the top 5 universities in China. So he did his postdoc over there. And then since then, he got hired by CSU as a professor, and now he's the associate dean of that institute. And he has been publishing very extensively, and by now he has finished probably about half a dozen of books. And the titles of his research papers probably will cover a few pages, or 4 or 5 pages, just the title. And then he has very rich international experiences. He has been to almost all countries in the Middle East area, and also North America. And he did his some research project in UK, in Britain. And he also did his some study here in this country. And well, his research interest covers international security theory, Middle East security, and U.S. Middle East policy. That's Professor Sun. And then we also have another scholar who is from Beijing, and his name is Dr. Ghaffar. Dr. Ghaffar. Dr. Ghaffar was born and raised in Sudan, and then he went to China in the year of 1993, and he did his PhD in Nanjing University, which is one of the 10 top universities in China. And then he did his postdoc at the University of Beijing. University of Beijing is the top university in China. And when after he got his project done over there, he got hired as a research fellow in Beijing, and he is also a senior fellow at the Shanghai Institute of Shanghai International Studies University. So he has been in China for 23 years, and he's very Chinese, very, very Chinese, except that he still keeps his Sudanese name. Other than that, he's completely Chinese. Probably he's more Chinese than I am. And he speaks very fluent Chinese. And 10 days ago, he just published a book on China-Arabic relationships. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah. So that's Dr. Ghaffar. And on my left side, we have Dr. Wang Guangdan. He is highly scholastic in the field of Arabic, and he's a professor of Arabic at CSU. So I mentioned that last year too. If anyone of you who had a minor in Arabic, and if you want to have a full degree in Arabic, you can go to CSU. And CSU offers free tuition scholarship. And from last year, CSU also offers living stipend for undergraduate students too. And very likely, probably Professor Samir Bitta will be invited over there to teach he should do that. Yeah. Actually, he was there in the year of 2012, and he might be going back this year too. Yeah. And then, we have a very beautiful, smart young lady over here. Her last name is Wang, and her first name is Jiani. She is a PhD candidate at the Shanghai International Studies University, and right now he is working on his research project at Duke in North Carolina. So he flew from here, from North Carolina. And as a matter of fact, Ms. Wang is a student of Professor Sun. And he majors in Middle East studies, and her research interest is about Turkey. And he visited Tel Aviv University in Israel for 1 year, and that's 2 years ago. Is that 2 years ago or 3 years ago? And now he is in Duke University as a visiting researcher. And today he's going to talk about current Turkey-China relations. So he will be the last who is going to make the speech. And the arrangement for today is Professor Sun will give his talk first, and his title is From Bilateralism to Multilateralism, China and the Middle East in the World Arena. And then after him, Professor Ghaffar is going to talk about China's Arab policy. And then the third presenter will be Professor Wang, and he is going to talk about Chinese Confucius institutes in the Arabic countries. And he will talk about the functions and the effect, and he will particularly focus on the Confucius Institute in Morocco. And so we will have them present one by one, and then at the end of the presentation, Samir, my brother and colleague, will make some comments, and then the panel will be open to the public, and you can ask questions. And if you have a question, please make it short, and then please also direct your question to a particular scholar. Okay, and let's put our hands together and give all of them a welcome.
Thank you, Chair, for your excellent and very good introduction. And this is actually my third visit to Missoula and University of Montana. I remembered my first visit is in 2012, and then I went to University of Oxford for 1 year, and then I came back and attended, I think, the 12th annual meeting in 2014, and this is my third time because I miss University of Montana so much. Here, I met old friends and also new friends, and I can enjoy the same hospitality. When I was walking in the beautiful campus of University of Montana, I feel I am part of it, and I feel very delighted to come back. And today, I want, without wasting your time, I will focus on the topic of from bilateralism to multilateralism. And I want to focus on the relations between China and the Middle East countries. First of all, we know that from Chinese perspective, bilateralism and multilateralism are both important for China-Middle East relations. But China is a newcomer, as we said that US is old comer and China is a newcomer. But if we look at these statistics about trading figures, you may find the newcomer of China has expanding rapidly economically. For example, by 2014, China was the second largest trading partner of the Arab League, the 22 Arab countries. And the bilateral trade volume reached $251.2 billion US, and an increase of 5.2%. And China now currently is #1 trading partner to 9 Arab countries. This is the Arab world. China is next only to European Union. The second one is by 2014, China-Iran trade volume reached about $52 billion US. China is #1 trading partner of Iran. In 2014, there's a rapid increase of 35%. And by 2014, China-Turkey trade volume reached $28 billion US. And China is Turkey's third largest trading partner. It's also very apparent. And the last one is China-Israeli trading volume is increasing rapidly too, and it reached $11 billion in 2014. Therefore, if we divide the Middle East into 4 parts, the Arab countries, Israel, Iran, and Turkey, you can find China, the newcomer, has increased its economic presence rapidly. Then the problem is, what's the measure for China to engage in the Middle East? I think we have 2 measures. The first one is bilateral. The second is multilateral. In terms of bilateral relations, China divides the Middle East countries into different layers. The first layer is, of course, the so-called pivotal states in the Middle East. China, up till now, has designated 6 countries as pivotal states in Chinese foreign policy. The first one is, of course, Saudi Arabia. Second, Egypt and Algeria. 3 Arab countries, together with Turkey, Iran, and Israel, 3 non-Arab countries. The 6 are the most important countries. Then, the second layer is China's strategic partners, including Jordan, Qatar, UAE, and Sudan. They have established strategic partnership, but their importance cannot parallel with the 6 pivotal states. And then below layer 2, you can find layer 3 or layer 4. I will not waste your time here. And then, in terms of bilateral cooperation, it can be divided into different areas. First, military, such as joint military rehearsals and arms sales. It's top secret. It's classified. We don't know the exact numbers of China's arms sales or military rehearsals. But I know China-Turkey, China-Saudi, and China-Algeria, China-North Sudan relations are very important militarily to each other, and including ballistic missiles to Saudi Arabia. The second one is economic and trade, bilateral economic and trade relations, including China-Turkey Cooperation Forum. And the third one is political and diplomatic exchanges. For example, Chinese President Xi Jinping paid a visit to the 3 Middle East countries in January this year. And the fourth one is the area of anti-terrorism. China's anti-terror cooperation with Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, etc. The last area is cultural link, and Professor Wang Guangdan will talk about that one, that fact. But these are all bilateral. I think bilateral exchanges are very important politically, economically, and culturally. However, it's not all. You see, our President Xi Jinping visited Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iran, and Egypt bilaterally. Why doesn't China attend multilateral conference there? Because according to my knowledge, the Middle East is the country with the least level, with the lowest level of regionalization. And the Middle East is divided. It's not united. Therefore, we can see the division between Saudi Arabia and Iran, between Palestine and Israel, between monarchies and republics, between Shia and Sunni, between pro-US and anti-US blocs, etc. Therefore, we can see a lot of bilateral cooperation. But I'm afraid in the future, in the years to come, China's relations with the Middle East will have more and more multilateralism. When we are talking about multilateralism, we can divide them into 4 different blocks: Arabs, Iran, Turkey, and Israel. We can find multilateral arenas are increasingly important in China-Middle East relations. For example, China, Arab countries have China-Arab States Cooperation Forum, which Professor Dr. Jafar will talk about it today. And the Forum for China-African States Cooperation, because North African countries are Arab countries. The third arena is China-GCC Strategic Dialogue. They have restarted this year. So this is about China-Arab relations. Then what about China-Iran? You may say it's only bilateral. No, it has multilateral arena. For example, the Istanbul process for Afghan issue. Iran and China are involved. And Syrian talks in Vienna, of course, China and Iran are involved. Shanghai Cooperation Organization, China, Turkey, Iran are involved. I will talk about it later. Then, what about Turkey? when we're talking about China-Turkey relations, from the multilateral perspective, it's very important because we find China and Turkey share similarities, although there are challenges in the way. The first one is both are regional powers with extensive political and cultural influence, because I think Emperor Ottoman Empire and the Qing Empire have left their legacies to Turkey and China. Second is both China and Turkey have strong political ambitions. Turkey would like to be, top economic powerhouse by 2023, the centennial anniversary of founding of the republic. And Chinese also will focus on 2021, the centennial anniversary of the founding of the ruling party, the Communist Party of China. And the third one is both a #1 economic powerhouse in their respective region of East and West Asia. And fourth, both China and Turkey have similar national conditions and seek development-oriented strategies. And the last one is both have troublesome neighbors because they don't have good neighbors with their nearby. So we can find China and Turkey relations also have multilateral attributes. That's also the case of China-Israel relations. Then you may be wondering, what are the major arenas for China-Middle East involvement on the world arena? I think the first one is, of course, international organizations. This kind of research is very sparse because we don't know how they were interacting with each other. First one is UN General Assembly, sometimes Security Council. They are competing, they are cooperating on many things, including the Palestinian cause. The second one is Office of UN High Commissioner for Refugee Issues. China and the Middle East countries are cooperating for the solution to Afghan, Syrian, Palestinian, and Iraqi refugees. The third one is UN peacekeeping forces. According to my knowledge, a lot of Middle East countries, together with China, have offered help to the UN peacekeeping forces. The fourth one is IAEA and the IMF reform and the World Bank. They are interacting, but we can hardly know the figures, the details about how China and the Middle East countries are interacting multilaterally. These areas where China has dispatched peacekeeping forces, they have interaction with the Middle East countries. Then, the second layer of their interaction arena is regional organizations. For example, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. There's no Islamic countries, but now we know GCC would like to have contact with BRICS. And VISTA is another one. Vietnam, Indonesia, South Africa, Turkey, and Argentina. Turkey would like to promote the cooperation between BRICS and VISTA. But this kind of research is very limited. And China-Middle East relations, we can find more and more inter-regional organization cooperation. The second one is G20 conference. This year in September, G20 summit will be held in Hangzhou, Zhejiang province of China. And we know China, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are the members. And Egyptian President Sisi will be invited for the conference as a distinguished guest too. So China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt will have more interaction in G20 framework. The third one is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We know now Iran and Turkey have interest to be the member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. It will have a very far-reaching impact because Turkey is the member of NATO. If Turkey got the membership of SCO, it means Shanghai Cooperation Organization will have more interaction with NATO. And Iran, if Iran got the membership, it means that Iran will be the first Middle East countries to get involved in SCO. The Middle East and Central Asian countries, China and Russia, South Asia, will have more interaction multilaterally. The fourth one is SICA. SICA is a kind of arrangement for Asian conference building initiated by Kazakhstan. And in this framework, Turkey, Iran, Qatar, Egypt, Israel, and other Middle East countries are the members. Therefore, in the future, they could have more interaction and communication. The last one is, of course, Organization of Islamic Conference. You may say it has nothing to do with China. China is considering to be the observer of OIC. If it becomes a fact, China and the Middle East Islamic countries will have more interaction in such a regional organization. This G20, China, Iran, and China, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are the members. And Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Middle East is not part of it, but Iran and Turkey. Now Iran is the observer. Turkey is the partner for dialogue in the future. They could be involved in the framework. Apart from the two layers of international and regional organizations, China and the Middle East countries are interacting and cooperating in informal institutions. For example, the Vienna talks on Syrian crisis, Syrian issues. China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon, Iran, and other countries in the Middle East are interacting. The second one is AIIB, Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. This one is very important. I think it will reshape the geo-economic structure of Eurasia. And here, 9 countries from the Middle East are the founding members. The third one is the Silk Road Fund, $40 billion sponsored by China, will have interaction with GCC, sovereign fund in the future too. And the last one is Board of Forum for Asia. Now, today, I think China will host it. And some Middle East leaders also are invited. So if we see China's Euro-Asian strategy, the Middle East is part of it. Not bilaterally, but multilaterally. In the future, the Middle East will be integrated into China's Euro-Asian strategy with the framework of One Belt and One Road initiative. So China's One Belt and One Road initiative is a kind of romantic initiative to integrate all Euro-Asian countries. The Middle East is not isolated island. It will be integrated too. And Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, it has 57 members, and the Middle East countries has 9 members. And China, Middle East, and Vienna talks on Syrian issues. Of course, the two sides will interacting. So you may be wondering, what's the implications to Sino-US relations of multilateral cooperation between China and the Middle East countries? First, I'm convinced that China and the US have more common interest in the Middle East peace and stability. And both are providing public goods for the Middle East people on a multilateral arena. Second, China's geo-economic expansion parallels US geopolitical predominance in the Middle East. In other words, China does not have the intention to challenge US sphere of influence in the Middle East countries. What China needs is its market, for its products, not geopolitical ambition. The third one is the Middle East governance has and will become the new arena for area for China-US mutual trust and strategic partnership on Iranian nuclear issue, on the Syrian conflict, and on refugees. China and the US have more cooperation and collaboration, which have formed a sharp contrast in the geopolitical rivalry in East Asia. I believe China and the US positive involvement in the Middle East multilaterally will be very, very important, not only to Middle East, but also to Sino-US relations. So I would like to summarize what I said here. Multipolarity is on the horizon in the Middle East. We can see that globally, US is still the unipolar actor, but in the Middle East, multipolarization is just on the horizon. So China and the Middle East countries have converging and conflicting interests. However, in the future, in the foreseeable future, China and the Middle East states have both bilateral and multilateral arenas to integrate, to interact with each other. So the international organization, regional organizations, and some informal institutions will be the arenas for them to integrate. And this one will be also important to China-US relations and their collaboration in the Middle East. Thank you so much for your attention. Your feedback is highly appreciated. Thank you.
Please hold your questions. Please hold your questions to the end. And now let's welcome Professor Gaffa.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to thank the university for inviting me. I failed to be in this beautiful university 2 times. Now I'm lucky to be here. This paper focus on China-Arab policy paper. Why this paper is important? Because China avoided to publish this paper for a long time. As a scholar for the last 20 years, I argue Chinese expert politician to issue paper to reflect their strategy in the Middle East. But all time we fail. Chinese experts think that, and politician, Middle East is Khilwan. I mean, a lot of trouble in that region. They don't know what to do with Turkey, Israel, Arabs. So they publish papers, policy paper about Latin America, about Europe, about Africa, but they avoided to publish about Arab policy or Middle East strategy. Finally, they did. So this is very important. This is why this is important, because they avoided to publish this paper for a long time. Also, there is many factors and about this paper. Some scholars, they think this paper has nothing new. Just the Chinese politicians collect all the old policy in one paper. Just like we say old wine, new bottle, something like that. But I think there is many things new in this paper. First, the time factor. Why they publish this paper now? We think this is also important. Language, time factor, language factor, and others. For the time factor, the time they publish the paper. Oh, where is this? Yeah. Yeah. What is going on the Arab world when this paper published? The Arab world is at perhaps one of the most difficult time in history because it is undergoing wars and violence. The terror activities have extended from Yemen in Arabian Peninsula to Libya in the North Africa. The Arabs have been reported negatively on the international media, which link the Arab and Muslim with terror and violence. The Arabs are equal to terror. The Arab countries are described as a terror nations, and anti-Arab slogans has become a part of election campaigns across Europe and the US. In the time, there are a decline of the US influence in the Middle East. There is a growing increase of influence for regional powers such as Iran, Turkey, and Israel, and Russia. So in this time, the time factor is important for this paper because Arabs are weak and poor by declining of the oil and costs. In this time, China issued this paper. Why we say that time is important. Okay, Also, what's happening in China in this time? How about China? It has been the fastest growing economy until 2015. What is happening there? China is a turning point where the new leadership launched a new vision on both internal and external issues. Internally, China is at the crucial stage of economic transformation by introducing One Belt and One Road initiative, a slow economy, including in the areas and in Arab, they depend on energy in areas like energy on Arab country, infrastructure, nuclear, space technology. This is what China is offering to the Arab in this paper, that they are going to help them in rebuilding of infrastructure. They are going to help them in nuclear energy, space technology, industrial capacity building. The Arab countries as a whole have become China's biggest supplier of crude oil and the seventh biggest trading partner. Externally, there are new signs showing that China is moving slowly away from its. There are new signs showing that China is moving slowly away from its traditional non-intervention principle on foreign policies. In addition, with the growing interest abroad, China has changed law or issued a new law, national security law, an anti-terrorist law, to provide legitimacy to military operation overseas if the country's overseas interests should be protected. For example, China has established a logistic spot center at Djibouti. So there is also change in China. Like I believe China start to review its foreign policy and mainly non-intervention policy. China is going to, we will see in the future, China will going more in changing this. Now the Chinese start to put the legal basis for this new change. They issue national security law, and later they issue anti-terror law. In these two laws, the Chinese military has a right to conduct operation outside of China, overseas, to protect the Chinese national interest if it is needed. And even the security element or officers can also conduct some operation outside of China if the national security needed. This is a big issue. They did that low profile, but this is a major change. Shows that China is going to play more role in security arrangement outside China. I think also One Belt and One Road, this huge economic project. I think this is the hugest ever economic project in the last 500 years. This project, this initiative is going to force China also to look overseas, just like America in 1960s, to build mechanism to protect its interests. Now they have a logistic spot in Djibouti. They are also talking to Tanzania and other countries to have same logistic spot. This is exactly what has been happening in Middle East in 1962 when America started to ask logistic spot in Oman and in Bahrain, and later it became a military basis. So this is change inside China, and Arab country. What? Yeah. This is the significant or what was happening both in China and during this. The paper consists of 5 parts. I'm going to just go through. Part 1, deepening China-Arab strategic cooperative relation of comprehensive cooperation and common development. This is clear. Part 2, China-Arab policy. This is the most big part of this paper. China, in this paper, confirmed that China supports the Middle East peace process and the establishment of an independent state of Palestine with full sovereignty based on the pre-1967 border with East Jerusalem as its capital. China supports the establishment of a nuclear weapon-free WMD-free zone in the Middle East. China also is willing to have pragmatic cooperation based on the principle of mutual benefit and win-win result with Arab states, in particular in the process of jointly implementing the Silk and Belt Initiative. China is willing to cooperate developing strategies with the Arab state. In this part, for the first time, China in official document declared that the state is going to support Arab causes in Palestine. Why is this important? Maybe some other scholars say that China sometimes says this. But China sometimes says this, and sometimes don't agree with this. For example, in ministerial meeting of Sino-Arab Forum, in Tunisia, she agreed that East Jerusalem will be the capital of independent Palestine. But in Bahrain ministerial meeting, she refused, and she has colored. She insisted this cannot be because we have to wait to solve the problem, and then Israeli and Palestinian see what would happen about the Jerusalem. This time, China clearly stated that Jerusalem will be the East Jerusalem will be the capital of Palestinian. What's new in this paper, China cannot go back about this because already China make official document, official paper with all the language, English, Chinese, Arabic, whatever. It's very difficult now for China to, this is very advanced. We believe this is very advanced stand. China cannot, she settled this issue and cannot go back. So this is very important in this part 3. China stated that it strengthens China-Arab cooperation on all around matter. Oh, still is there. I don't know this. This document has a long list of areas of cooperation. I will go just through. I would like to pick up a couple of this change. Based on the principle of independence, equality, mutual respect, and non-interference in internal affairs, China is willing to further enhance exchange with friendly political parties and organizations in Arab countries consolidate with political foundation of China-Arab relation. For us, this is very not clear because we for the last 20 years, we are pushing China to have also relation with opposition parties in the Arab countries. China is still only dealing with the ruling parties. Ruling with only with ruling parties is a very narrow strategies, because those ruling parties can be changed in any time. So China will face a problem to have a new elites, like, for example, after the Arab Rising, the Chinese lost their old friend in Egypt and Tunisia. And because they have no any relation with the opposition parties, they were very confused and very concerned how to build a new relation. And in case of Sudan, China only have a relation with the ruling party. But there is a major opposition parties, and they are well rooted in Sudanese political soil. China avoided to build any relation with these parties until now. So, and this will happen also in Burma. So I think China, if the regime change in Sudan, the opposition party will China need to do a lot of effort to make this new ruler, like opposition party, to build a strong relation with China. This happened in Burma, for example. Chinese now, they are trying to do their best to build relation with the opposition, who became now a part of the elite, ruling elite club. So when the paper says that, they are not, for me, they are not talking about opposition parties. They're talking about the ruling parties. So this is in the long run, is not going to help China to build a good relation with the people in the Middle East. Belt and Road Initiative. I don't know, can you see Belt and joint effort will be made by China and Arab countries to promote the Belt and Road Initiative with the principle of wider consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefit. China and Arab countries will adopt 1+2+3 cooperation pattern to upgrade pragmatic cooperation by taking energy cooperation as the core, infrastructure, construction, and trade and investment facilitation as the two wings, and high and new technologies in the field of nuclear energy, space, satellite, and new energy as the three breakthrough. Cooperation, later we are going to talk about this 1, 2, 3, because we believe this three element of China put it as a basis of cooperation with the Arab country is not balanced, because this element just serve the Chinese interest. And the people who put this three element as a base of the future relation, I don't think they study well, at least the history of industry or the level of industrial level of these countries. The most important element is missing here, agriculture. I don't think most of Arab countries need to nuclear energy or space to develop the relation in space. We need food security in Egypt, in Sudan, in many countries. So we advise Chinese politicians to add. Now they have 1, 2, 3. We have to add 4, agriculture. I always believe and always tell my Chinese friend, the Western imperialism in Africa and most of Arab countries, they left Africa without any real development, especially in the agriculture. Everyone knows that. Africa have a lot of famine because the Western rulers, France, British, they did not help. They didn't help. Now China is involved heavily in Africa and Arab countries. So the the thin line between China experience in Africa or in Arab country and Western one, the thin line. China developed a real modern and strong agriculture sector to provide food security to the Africans and to the Arab. If this not happen, we cannot see big difference in the Chinese experience in Africa or Arab country and Western one. So China has a huge experience in modernization of agriculture sector. We need China to transfer their experience and use some of the investment in this. So 1, 2, 3, need 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will talk about this later. Okay, do you think so? Okay, he told me you have to go quickly. Okay. Okay, then we will go to cooperation in the field of peace and security. I think this is new. China called this new one. In China avoid for a long time to be a part of any security arrangement in the Middle East. Most of the Arab leader came to visit China all time in the minutes. There is, please help us in the security in the Middle East. We want you have a rule. And China avoided also that they escaping from this for a long time. I think the new in this paper, China sent message that she can help. China called for a concept of common, comprehensive, cooperative and sustainable security in the Middle East, and support Arab and regional countries in their effort to build an inclusive and shared regional collective cooperation security mechanism so as to realize long-term peace prosperity in developing in the Middle East. I think China in the future will play a role in security arrangement because of China also. Because China depends on this region in oil and gas. Okay. Last remark. General remark. First, China has chosen the wording very carefully in this paper, where they prepare the policy paper. Use new language like brothers. They use in the past, they use friendship. Now use Arab brother. This is new. China also avoid using the language used by others, including big power in the Western media and Iranian, Israeli media that describe Arab as a terrorist and dangerous nation. In contrast, China reminds the world that the region is seen, they see nothing in the region but destroyed city. China also reminds them that the world lived in peace when Arabic Islamic Empire ruled the world for centuries and protected the freedom of religious and trade lane. Moreover, the world was prosperous when the Arab rulers and the Tang dynasty were in control and guard the free trade in the ancient Belt and Silk Road. Okay. 1 minute, okay. Okay. Just 1 minute, okay? Okay, final remark. Okay. Weakness of the paper. Firstly, the document focuses on the relation with the government. The private sector is not including. Secondly, the cooperation in agriculture with the Arab countries is not priority area for China, as I mentioned. But, however, I believe, now they finish it. Just 1 minute, please, just 1 minute. However, I believe that this document is more advanced than any document related to China-Arab relation that I have come across in the last 2 decades. In fact, I noticed that China-Arab relation developed much closer relation from the Western and Israeli point of view. We have two trends in China among experts. One trend that they are very optimistic about China-Arab relation, and they encouraging their leader to enhance China-Arab relation. Other trend expert who they are not optimistic about China-Arab relation. They almost support their leader to advance their relation with Israel and Iran more than Arabs. This paper support the first trend, the trend that who pushing even in hard time to maintain a strong relation with China. The major scholar in that trend like Professor Chu Wei-li, Wu Sokong, and others. So this is their vision became an official policy of China. Thank you.
I would like to welcome Professor Wang to talk about the Confucius Institutes in the Arab world.
Good afternoon, everyone. Confucius Institutes is also part of the relationship between China and the Middle East. I'm teaching Arabic in China. We have about 40 colleges teaching Arabic language and literature in China. I studied in Kuwait and Syria, worked in Morocco as the director of Confucius Institute Casablanca for 2 years. I specialized in theory and practice of Arabic listening, Bahrain, political parties in Morocco, Islamic culture, relations between Arabs and Jews in history. Over recent years, the Confucius Institute's development has been sharp, and they have provided scope for people all over the world to learn Chinese language and culture. In addition, they have become a platform for cultural exchanges between China and the world, as well as a bridge reinforcing friendship and cooperation between China and the rest of the world, and are much welcomed across the globe. Confucius Institutes in Arab countries devote themselves to satisfying the demands of Arabs who want to learn the Chinese language, to enhance understanding of the Chinese language and culture by Arabs, to strengthen educational and cultural exchange and cooperation between China and Arab countries, to deepen friendly relationship with Arabs, and to promote the development of multiculturalism and to construct a harmonious relationship between China and the Arab countries. Therefore, Confucius Institutes can be considered as a comprehensive platform for culture and educational exchanges between China and the Arab countries. The Confucius Institutes are non-profit organizations, provide the following services. The most important is Chinese language teaching. The second is training Chinese language instructors and providing Chinese language teaching resources. The third is holding the HSK examination, Chinese proficiency test, and tests for the certification of the Chinese language teachers. The fourth is providing information and consultative services concerning China's education, culture, and so forth. We also conduct language and cultural exchange activities between China and the other countries. China has opened 11 Confucius Institutes in 9 Arab countries till the end of 2015. I went to Casablanca, Morocco, to establish a Confucius Institute at the Hassan II University and act as the Chinese director at the end of 2012. We made an opening ceremony on the beginning of the 2013. The Chinese ambassador and the vice minister of Morocco, Higher Education Ministry, attend with both presidents of Hassan II University and the Shanghai International Studies University. This is the logo of the institute, Confucius Institute in Casablanca. Firstly, our main task is teaching Chinese. Secondly, we organize various kinds of cultural activities in order to display the real China instead of the old China. We held Peking Night Concert, Tea Expo, International Languages Day in Casablanca, and the National Day Ceremony, and celebrated our traditional festivals such as Spring Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, and Dragon Boat Festival. This is the Morocco student write, "I love China." Thank you for listening.
Ms. Wang, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My presentation is about current challenges and opportunities in the Turkey and China relations. As two ends of Asia, what do they mean to each other? First, for China, Turkey, on one hand, is an important actor of the One Belt and One Road strategy. On the other hand, Turkey is a new economy. It has great marketing capabilities, and Turkey can influence the Central and Eastern Asia in its own ways. On this map, the black line is the One Belt, while the blue line is the One Road. Istanbul, you can see that Istanbul is not the terminal station. But from the next map, we can see the route of Via Egnatia, which is the road between Rome and Istanbul. This was another important connection between West and East, Europe and Asia in old times. So I think that Turkey can play an important role in revitalizing the road of Via Egnatia. For Turkey, China is its second largest import partner. From the pie chart below, we can see that more than 10% of Turkey import was from China, and the gap between the first two largest import partners, the gap was less than 0.2%. Whereas China has been Turkey's largest trading partner, the third largest. Nation-states need third countries to balance its relations with great powers. Turkey sometimes regards China as one of the third countries in dealing with its relations to great powers like United States, NATO, and EU, etc. So Turkey needs its relations and cooperations with China to balance its relations with great powers. China and Turkey are becoming more and more important to each other, but there are still long-existent and obvious obstacles in their relations. The first one is the trade imbalance. Please look at the blue chart, and on your left hand is and the other on your right hand is the China. It's the top 10 export goods to each other. It's not hard for you to find a lot of the similarities in them, and Chinese products have price advantage. So the similarities in export goods do not mean cooperation, but usually it means trade friction. Well, trade deficit is another aspect of trade imbalance between Turkey and China. The charts are statistics of each country's exports to one another in the year of 2015. Digital numbers on the right show us the huge trade deficit. Deficit is still a problem today. The second obstacle, as you know, is Xinjiang and East Turkestan Islamic movement. It organized a series of attacks in China and has been classified as terrorist by United Nations, European Union, and the governments of China, Russia, and most Central Asian countries. Turkey has compassion for these people and movement on complicated ethnic and historic grounds. But what more important is that Turkey and China has potential areas to cooperate. First is One Belt, One Road project. China has taken part in Turkey's infrastructure constructions, like the high-speed rail between Istanbul and Ankara. You can see the picture, which the road shortened the travel hours from 6 to 3. Turkey also joins in CICA Summit, AI Bank, and Silk Road Fund. The One Belt, One Road is not only an important economic development plan, but also a program for culture and education communication. Turkey and the Turkic language are necessary along the regions of One Belt, One Road, and education communication can promote understanding among those regions. The second potential area is military cooperation. In this case, China's role of third countries is real and vivid. Cooperation with the third countries can make Turkey foreign policy more flexible and more independent. The third area is cooperation on anti-terrorism. Turkey has been a dialogue partner of Shanghai Cooperation Organization since 2012, and Turkey is also under attack recently. So both sides need to work together to share information and technology on those issues. Turkey and China, in the future, they can spend economic and trade cooperation, and the two ends of Asia need to strengthen their political trust. And also that they need to start a deeper security cooperation, because Turkey and China are in a period where both sides have an extraordinary need of each other. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Go up.
Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hafirin v'hafirat. Peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. I know you always have the time restraint, so I will make this very quick. I would like to sincerely thank my colleagues from Shanghai International Studies University for their outstanding informative presentations. I'd just like to shed some light on why this that can be categorized as a major change in Chinese strategy. And it is as a result of what is taking place in the Middle East. And we have to realize that China receives approximately 50% of its oil supply from the Middle East. And we are currently in an election year, so we're not paying as much attention as we have in the past to the area. However, due to the recent upheaval in the Middle East, and especially the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran that has derailed, this really provided a situation where the United States and Russia, who were the main powers in the area, no longer can hold the balance between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And on the other hand, China can, because China has solid relations with both. And it also touches on the Muslim world population. Although the Shia are a minority in the Muslim world, they are actually a majority in the oil-rich Gulf. So they constitute a very, very important country for the energy supply to China. And to say it in a very humble and loving way, China is no longer willing to sit on the sidelines and watch the region from where 50% of its energy comes go and descend into chaos. The other thing I'd like to share is my own personal experience as an American who had the privilege to visit China. And of course, I'm a language teacher, and I will always talk and view things within the lens of language. And we say when you talk to someone in a language he understands, it goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his mother tongue, it goes to his heart. And what I experienced and want to share with my fellow Americans is when I visited Shanghai, everyone that had any involvement with Arabic language, culture, Middle East, Islamic civilizations, they were all fluent in Arabic. And this gives the Chinese a much more facilitated ability to make economic deals with Arab countries. And I will close with that and open the floor for questions, please.
Now the panel is open for questions. As I said, well, please make the questions short and then direct your questions to a particular specific speaker.
I'm wondering, what does China think of the EU's recent agreement with Turkey that would potentially provide a fast track for Turkey to become part of the EU?
You mean the agreement on the refugee, Turkey with EU?
Yes.
You mean that Turkey or China want to be part of that?
I'm wondering, since you're looking to improve your relationships with Turkey, and you made mention of the fact that Turkey needs to balance its relationship with China with what it has with U.S., NATO countries, EU, but now it's looking as though it might get a fast track to becoming part of the EU, and I'm wondering what China thinks of that.
I see. I mean that if China can do something for help, maybe the infrastructure constructions and other kinds of buildings and constructions in Turkey means employment. I mean, that can provide jobs to the refugees. Maybe if Turkish government want them to work, maybe it works well, I think. Okay, does it work?
Thank you so much for your excellent question about the agreement between EU and Turkey. I know EU wants to solve the problems of crisis. It's twofold. The first one is refugees. Refugees, the social problem. The second one is terrorist attacks, especially represented by Daesh, IS, Islamic State. The European countries believe that maybe Turkey is the gate, the front gate for this kind of flooding refugees and the problems from the Middle East. The root cause is not Turkey. The root cause is the troublesome Middle East. So if European wants to have security and peace, they must tackle not only one agreement with Turkey, but also how we can solve the problems in Syria. Syria is a state, I think, a leaderless country now. Syria, Libya, Iraq, Somalia, you name it. So the problem is, if we cannot solve the problems in the West Asia and North Africa, I'm afraid refugees and Daesh problems will be flooding into European Union. Turkey itself cannot solve the problem. Even if we close the door of Turkey, other refugees and Daesh members will go and flood into Europe from Italy, from maybe Sweden, maybe from other countries, you name it. Therefore, I'm afraid if we want to have peace and security in Europe, maybe we can first of all solve the problems in the Middle East. The most important thing is how we can consolidate the ruling countries now. That's maybe the first step. Thank you.
Thank you each for what you shared. It was interesting to hear about China's external policy in engaging with the Middle East. And Professor Tegang, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, you mentioned China engaging not only with the Middle East, but also with Islamic countries. And I was wondering about how China sees its internal Muslim population, so specifically the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Am I saying that properly? So in this external engagement with Middle Eastern countries and Islamic populations, so has that influenced its internal engagement with its own populations?
Thank you so much for your excellent question about China's rebalance in the world. Actually, we can see that the U.S. has rebalance in the Asia-Pacific region. China does have a rebalance in the Islamic world. It's a kind of rebalance of U.S. strategy in the Asia-Pacific. So One Belt, One Road is a geo-economic ambition and initiative. It will have, I believe, maybe a geopolitical implications. That is, how can China re-engage in the Islamic world? And we have a lot of metaphors to refer to the Middle East, Islamic world, as they are graveyard for great powers, etc. Chinese are very cautious. They will be risk aversion. Chinese relations with the Middle East countries is dynamic from inside. That is, China has, according to official statistics, about 30 million Muslims. And we don't know the exact number, but we know it's big. So how can China evolve in the Islamic world? And I think there are two reasons. The first one is China wants to set a model of governance. That is, if you look at the Islamic world, they always have this kind of vicious cycle. That is authoritarian rule, and then if you overthrow it, it will be in chaos. Chinese believe that we can solve the problems step by step. We should maintain stability first. We should handle the relations between reform and stability. Let people feed themselves first, find jobs. We can first of all have jobs and employment. Second, democracy. Democracy is for future. Today, we can solve the problem of feeding your people. Maybe that's not a good idea, but currently it's feasible. In China's Islamic Muslim-dominated areas, you can find, for example, Xinjiang is more developed than Central Asian countries. It has been another solution, alternative. That is, if we want to solve the problems, we can start with economy and jobs. Maybe that's another one. The second dynamics, as Professor Samir Peter has mentioned, China wants to engage in the Islamic world for oil, for market, because we know China relies on the Middle East of oil. 50% of oil is from the Middle East. It's huge. So China cannot sit and wait. China must be involved economically and politically. That's why China now has white paper on the Arab countries, as Dr. Jaffer has mentioned. China is more active. In the future decade, you can see China will not sit silent. China will stand up and talk. China will not be the bystander. I think it will have more larger voice. China will not have non-alignment policy. China will be more active. As Jaffer has mentioned, China now has the first supporting military base in Djibouti. China will be more active diplomatically and militarily in the Middle East. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I don't remember anybody's name. I'm terrible with names. So I can't address it to anybody in particular, so whoever wants to grab this, sorry for breaking the rules. I want to know if you think that China will do a better job with this outreach and with the economic growth that's going to be created in between this relationship between the Arab nations and China. Will they do a better job with taking care of how the banks handle the large amount of interest that's going to be created? I'm Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Will they go in and take advantage of countries as we have in the United States? Are these the same corporations? What I'm hearing from you guys is a lot of the same arguments that our economic elite are putting forth. And I guess my question is, this is not very short. My question is, how are you going to help your, I don't know what the disparity is, but how are you going to help us peons, or your peons?
Dr. Jafar, I want to answer the question. Yes.
We always say that there is 3 schools dealing with how China, what China role play or can play in African Arab countries. One school from expert and professors, we call it the Chinese school. They say everything is good. China do anything in Arab country or Africa is good. Then Western school, some experts from the West, they doubt of any actions China do in Africa and Arab country. Everything China do in Africa, China involvement in Africa and Arab country is bad. And the third school, some good always the third school. But not everything China did in Africa is good. And not everything China do in Africa is bad. Also in Arab country and in Africa, the difference between Western power, the history of the Western power in our countries, and Chinese. Chinese are a compromised nation. If you want to know how China fix its foreign policy, you need to know the Chinese culture, Chinese history, Chinese psychology. If you want to deal with China, you have to know this. If you don't know this, it's very difficult to deal with China. In Africa, we try to know this. For example, the Chinese are a compromised nation. When the Chinese came to do a business in Africa, all time they want to get 70% for them and 30% for us. But because we know the Chinese psychology, Chinese history, Chinese what, at last we get 50-50. But if in the, for example, when German come or British come, they very difficult ways, they tell you they are going to do this project, 100 million. You cannot talk a lot. You want it or leave it or take it. In Chinese, they will tell you 100. But because the nature of the Chinese people, you can get compromised. The most dangerous element in our relation with China is the corruption. Where is there is a corruption, Chinese win. And also where there is no corruption, China also win and will win. I give 2 examples. Ethiopia, and Sudan, and China. After last 27 years with involving with the Chinese and Sudanese government, we did not win in Sudan. Even the oil was loss of resources than anything, because the government is corrupted. After 27 years, we get nothing from China, and even China also lost, because China needs $7 billion. Sudanese government must give it. This kind of corruption government, no win-win situation, they're both lost. But let's just come to Ethiopia. Ethiopia and China relation only 10 years, the last 10 years. But Chinese investment and export and technology transfer Ethiopia to an African tiger very fast. I always go to Ethiopia and Sudan because the government is not corrupted, and the government of Ethiopia has a vision and has a strong parliament. So the experience of Chinese in Ethiopia is very successful. In Sudan, failure. Not because of Chinese, because the corruption. So in Arab country and China and in Africa, when the negotiator, the policymaker, if they are not corrupted, if they have a vision, win-win situation can be done.
Let me add just 1 minute. Thank you so much for your good question. I think if we look at the Middle East countries, there's a general phenomenon that is they are economically dependent on China, but militarily rely on USA. No matter they're Egypt, Morocco, Jordan, or GCC countries, they want to keep a balance between US and China. But they have very high expectation on China. But I'm afraid in the future, their expectation is too high. Therefore, China cannot meet it because China, although it has very high foreign reserve, it does not have such a capital to meet them. But I believe that US, in the Middle East countries, especially in the Arab world, 60% of the population is under the age of 30. If we cannot solve these problems, the high pressure of employment, the younger generation will have no hope. And then I'm afraid the Middle East will export not only oil and natural gas, but also refugees and problems. So I think China and the US have bound duty to solve the problems and the governance in the Middle East. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's have one more short question, and then we will wind up this panel discussion. Please.
Hello. This question is directed toward the second speaker, but any input would be lovely. You pointed out the contrast between the attitude in the Chinese policy towards Muslims and Arabs and an attitude a lot of Westerners have that demonizes them. And I was wondering if that's reflective of the Chinese population in general. Yeah, I think that's it.
Chinese?
But Chinese are very good.
For Arab countries. As I said before, China is rising major power, like America, like British. She always looking for her national interest. If the Arab don't know their national interest, they can't deal with China and they will be a loser. And this happens everywhere. Like China, like America, like other. But China, because have a long history with the Arabs, it depends on if the regime are corrupted, and if the regime, Arab regime, has no vision. Because we always say China know what she wants from Arab countries, but Arab, they don't know what they want from China. This is a major problem will continue. Now China has a policy paper. Now we think Arab League must study this policy paper and respond with their vision. But till now, we didn't see the Arab country even pay attention to this paper. Arab country did not pay attention to this important paper. We didn't see it till now. Arab, they have not paid attention to the Belt and Road Initiative, Silk Road Initiative. Till now, they just give China a lip service. These two major projects, this means that the Arab, they don't understand China, or they are busy with their own problems, or they have no vision. So all time, we think the Arab countries really have no vision what to do with China. So they don't care about Belt. Now Iran, Turkey, Israel, all of them, they are very active in responding to one Belt, one road. Arab are not. So we are afraid that the other regional power like Israel, like Turkey, like Iran, will see the opportunity. Then Arab are going to be just a bus station. And this is very bad for the economy and world. I just tell you, Arab, they don't know what they want from China.
Thank you very much. Yeah, on behalf of the University of Montana and also the community, I'd like to thank our 4 distinguished scholars again one more time, and I would like to invite all of you here to put our hands together for one more time. Thank you. And thank you to everyone here.